My guest today is about to open in his 13th Broadway show, a musical adaptation of Chaz Palminteri's A Bronx Tale. Other notable credits include Wicked, Hairspray, Legally Blonde, Jersey Boys, basically everything. How's it going, Richard H. Blake?
It's going great.
Richard H.
That's right.
H. Was there like a Richard Blake?
There was
a story.
There was a Richard Blake. I think he passed away, and I think I could have dropped the H at some point. But then I missed that opportunity. I think another Richard Blake came into the union.
Somebody else
slipped in. Someone slipped in. So I missed the boat.
Did you ever consider just Dick Blake?
Nope.
I want to call you Dick Blake. I think it has a nice ring to it.
There's like one person in the world that I allow
that calls you
to call
Dick?
me, and he calls me Dickie. It's
oh,
my
Dickie?
Agent. It's my agent.
There's one person allowed to call you Dickie?
It's my agent. Yeah, I sort of have that, like, Johnny Dangerously. You guys see that movie with Joe Piscopo, where he's like, my mother did that to me once. I sort of give everybody else like once. They call me Dick, and I'm like, that was your one time.
Oh my God, you're back on Broadway. I feel like you're always on Broadway. I mean, you've had a nice.
Where's the wood?
Knock on whatever you want.
Where's the wood?
You've had a nice run. I know maybe when you're living the life of an actor, it maybe doesn't always feel that comfortable.
Oh no, it does. I mean, it feels for me. I have been blessed.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, the life of an actor is always stressed because it's sort of like, okay, this might come to an end soon. What's going to be next?
Right.
But I can't even believe just kind of how fortunate the last 30 years have been.
So you are Lorenzo. Mm-hmm. You're playing a good guy, which is nice because you played
a lot
of Dick. You played a lot of Dick Blakes.
Yeah, a lot of Dick Blakes. Absolutely, the best way to put it. Yeah.
There were certain points in your career where that would have been a very appropriate name for you.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of had the market cornered.
Yes. And now you are a good guy. And let me ask you: when they were casting this? Were you were Tommy DeVito in Jersey Boys? A phenomenal Tommy DeVito. We love that role. It's such a great role.
Highlight. Yeah.
Were you doing that when this auditions for this came
around?
around?
Yeah, I was.
And was everybody backstage at Jersey Boys auditioning for the Bronx Tale?
Well, I mean, yeah. If you look at the Bronx Tale cast, there's quite a few of us have sort of migrated from Jersey Boys over. So I was doing Jersey Boys, and obviously it's the same producers. They called me in, and I went in, and really, it was quite the room to audition for.
Now, first of all, you're playing De Niro's role from the movie he directed.
Yep. Started and directed.
Yeah, he played you were him. He was you. Chaz Palminteri wrote this about his life. Your character is named after his father.
Yeah, I play his father.
You're basically his dad. You're Chaz Palminteri's dad.
No pressure at all.
There's a lot. Yeah,
I don't feel anything.
So you wander in, and they're all sitting there. These guys are there.
Yeah, well, my first audition,
they ease you into it.
Yeah, the first one I just went in with Jerry Zaks and Ron Melrose. I think were the only two really at that one, which was great. Jerry gave me some great notes. He was so kind, so warm, and made me feel at ease. So when I went back in for Everybody, which was the next audition, I was a little bit more comfortable, but still, I mean, you walk into that room. I think that was the first thing I said. I walked in and I was like, well, this isn't an intimidating room at all, is it?
Right.
To which they chuckled, I think, a little bit, because I was probably the 100th person that said that. And and then we did it, and then I walked out, and I was like, thank God that's over, and I hope I get a call. I did.
Yeah, and they did. And you're doing it now. And you know these guys, and they know you.
Yeah.
And you see them regularly, and that must be weird.
It's surreal. It's a little surreal. I'm not gonna lie, but great. I mean, you're getting the chance to work with, living legends.
Yeah.
From everyone, from Alan Menken to Glenn Slater to Sergio to Jerry to Chaz to Robert to Tommy Mottola. Obviously, the Dodgers, who I've been working with for years. So I mean, what a team! You get to learn from everybody, all different aspects.
What has this creation process been like? You did it at Paper Mill.
Yeah. I did the workshop first, which was kind of like a year, I think, before we did Paper Mill, almost. So
did De Niro say anything to you after? Like, was there any nice job? That was my De Niro.
that was good.
That's all I got.
He's a little bit more soft-spoken than that. Nice job.
Okay.
I think I just sat there and prayed, and my agent called me actually at one point and said, hey, I just want you to know, because you might hear I got an offer for one of my other clients. He's he's in the ensemble, so just don't worry. They probably just haven't set out things yet. And I was like, yeah, okay. I'm getting worried now.
Right.
And then I think they actually came back and took a look at me in Jersey Boys just to sort of, because it had been a while in between the workshop and Paper Mill.
Did you know they were there?
They did tell me they were there. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I guess that went well.
Right.
So I guess I did a good job that night. I had a lot of plants in the audience.
Did you?
No.
Like surrounding them?
No, but that would have been a good idea. But fortunately they came on, a great night, great show.
This is a very sweet story, and obviously the story has a lot of power, Bronx Tale, because it's lived in all these incarnations. It's such a great story also how Chazz Palminteri first created the show and just sort of like revitalized his career, right, as an actor, and then all this
started it really.
Yeah,
I mean, he had done some stuff, but this was really
so obviously it's a great story. Let's set it up a little bit. You're Lorenzo, you're the bus driver, you're the dad. And you're in a tough part of the Bronx, a tough neighborhood, and there's and it literally starts with like a shooting, right? That's not a spoiler.
No, I don't think there's a spoiler. Yeah. That's what sets us in motion.
Yeah.
I'm a dad of a 9-year-old boy who witnesses a murder,
right,
and then ends up trying to befriend, or the guy who does the killing, the head of the mafia in the local mafia,
right, played by
befriends. Played wonderfully by Nick Cordero, befriends my son because he doesn't rat on him. I'm not that happy about that.
Right.
I don't really want him getting involved in that. One of the great things about this whole process for me, being a dad now and having a boy, a 5-year-old son, is having that to draw from, because I know what I want my son to get involved in and what I don't, what side of the tracks I want him to be involved in, and how protective you can be.
Right.
You don't think about that, I think, until you actually have a child and you're like, wow, we become really protective. And so that's how Lorenzo feels.
You obviously want to do Broadway musicals like you did.
Absolutely.
That's obviously the plan.
Of course, right? Yeah, no, look, I want him to do whatever makes him happy.
There you go.
And keeps him safe.
Right.
And there's this triangle of both these father figures fighting over this child. So when people come to see the show, I think they can relate.
So I love the name Grayson. That's your son's name.
Yeah, it is.
How'd you come up with that name?
I took a poll. No, honestly, I just like the name. I've always liked the name.
Cool.
And it was between that and 2 other names, and I did. He was born when I was doing Wicked, and I literally did a poll around the theater, and Grayson won. Well, what's funny is, I think you probably know this, but Blake is a stage name. It's not my real last name. So my wife wanted to...
I didn't know that.
Really?
No.
Oh.
What's your real name? Is it a secret?
I don't care. Thomas. Richard Thomas. So John Boy on the Waltons.
Oh, okay.
So he had it first, and I had to pick a stage name because he already had my real last name. And my wife loves the name Blake, but she wanted to name our son Blake. So his name would have been Blake Thomas. I was like, but babe, no one knows my last name is Thomas. Everyone would say like, oh, what's your son's name? And I'd say Blake, and they go, you named your kid Blake? And then I have to go through the whole story of, no, I didn't name my kid Blake. So
isn't Gray his nickname?
Gray is his nickname, yes.
Okay,
and we did put Blake as his middle name.
Oh, okay.
So it's Grayson Blake Thomas.
Wait, what's the H? What's your middle name?
My middle name is Harrison.
Oh, okay. Harrison.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Now, are you Italian at all?
I think there's a little bit in there, but mostly by marriage. Okay. my wife's maiden name is DGN Felice.
So you're surrounded by Italians.
Yeah, and I also was born in Providence, Rhode Island.
Okay.
Which is like the Italian capital of New England.
Okay.
I grew up. My dad had an Italian restaurant and all that stuff. So.
Oh, okay. So tell me about that little kid up in Rhode Island. How did that boy end up on Broadway at such a young age?
He was really clumsy.
Really?
Really clumsy. I fell and broke my nose the first time, because I've broken it 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an achievement.
Right? Exactly. This is not what it's supposed to look like. But I fell and broke my nose walking upstairs when I was 4.5 years old.
Okay.
So my parents put me into gymnastics and dance so that I would learn some dexterity and hopefully stop falling.
Because you were just that messy.
I was really clumsy. I was really clumsy.
Okay.
My son takes after me too. But that's where I started dancing, and then I entered some dance competitions. The nationals, for one, were here in New York. I came here, and an agent saw me at this dance competition, and the rest, as they say, is history.
You must have been like a super cute kid. I mean, like you must have been like one of those kids.
Much cuter than I am now. Yes. I mean, sure, I guess.
I was
little,
you must have, and so you
I was
were
blonde, like my son.
I saw the picture.
Really blonde.
I saw a picture of you blonde, like your headshot. You were blonde.
Yeah, really blonde. My hair then got darker as I got older, but really blonde. Sang and danced.
So, So Teddy and Alice was a big Broadway smash. No, the late '80s in your family must have been huge because you were like you had a huge Broadway career in the late '80s.
Yeah, it was
like 3 shows right in a row, right?
It was awesome. Yeah, it was really cool. Teddy and Alice. The crazy thing is, I don't know, 9 years old, something like that, and had no idea how amazing the people I was working with were.
Right.
I mean, Len Cariou, Beth Fowler, Ron Raines, Karen Ziemba, Nancy Opal. I mean, the list goes on. That cast was stacked.
Right. But then came the feather in your cap, which got you on the wall. Joe Allen, your name is there. I believe it's still there, right?
It is still there.
Prince of Central Park. Yeah. This was another mega musical, another late '80s. I'm telling you, the '80s flops were so much more like interesting and colorful and like just weird. You know what I mean? Like you played a boy who was living in a treehouse in Central Park. Now immediately I'm like, that just sounds ridiculous. That sounds impossible.
That sounds like great theater.
but like, how could there possibly be a treehouse in Central Park? I don't. How could a kid get it? I don't understand. Like, why wouldn't everybody just see that? And then why wouldn't, what?
Because he did a really good job of building this treehouse so that no one, could see it. It was there's a lot of trees. Have you walked every inch of Central Park?
I can't say I have. You're right. You're right.
You know what I mean? There's some areas that probably don't get a lot of foot traffic.
You're right. Okay, fine.
That being said, the tree overlooked a bench.
Right, yeah.
That someone sat at a lot, which is how I overheard her life story.
Yeah, so it doesn't really make sense. It's not, but it was based on a book, and it kind of made sense to me when I realized it was based on a book written in the '70s. Mm-hmm. Because even though this is the late '80s, it sounded very '70s to me.
It was a TV movie.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they did and then they actually made like a feature film. That they put out. Yeah.
You had all these different leading ladies. It kept switching, and you got your final leading lady, Joanne Worley, like 2 weeks before previews, right?
Yes, pretty close.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
You were like steady, and you were like, how old? You were like 14.
Yeah, 13 or 14.
Were you too old for it? Because your character was actually younger. Your character was like 12.
Yeah, but I was miniature.
Oh, you okay? You were one of the.
I did not.
You were always one of those.
I was 4'11" till I was 16. Like,
oh, really?
I was tiny. I was one of those who bloomed real late.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was. It was such a great experience. I made a decision in my life to do Prince of Central Park over the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah, I know. I heard that.
Yeah, they.
Did you sleep over that in your life after the fact, or was that just?
No. I mean, they found somebody else. Ryan Gosling came in, and
that kid.
he did. He's an actor who's done some stuff. But anyway, I think
musicals now.
Yeah, so I turned down the Mickey Mouse Club to do this great piece.
Well, but you were above the title of a Broadway.
And I still am. I believe I still am the youngest person to ever be above the title in a Broadway show.
That sounds right.
So
there's actually a pretty big font, pretty big point size on that poster. Like,
I think we negotiated same font size as Joanne.
Yeah,
so
I know. I was impressed.
Yeah, my dad actually negotiated that contract. He did a really good job.
Good job, Dad.
Yeah, good job, Dad. The best part is I got the call that we were closing before a lot of other people because there were a bunch of cast members who showed up at the stage door on Tuesday and the theater was locked. So
people didn't know? They just showed up? That's terrible.
I have a lot of stories. We could spend a whole show just on Prince of Central Park. But honestly, at the end of the day, I had one of the biggest flops in history, and that's honestly a really cool thing to me as well, to be a part of that kind of history of Broadway.
Well, what I always wondered...
Yeah, but you know what? It happened to me when I was 13, 14, when you don't really care as much. I mean, you care, but your livelihood isn't depending on it. Okay. Do you know what I mean?
So you're saying it wasn't... Because I always worry about kids on Broadway and dealing with all that and with,
I was very fortunate. Even though the show closed, it had put me at a place where people still wanted to work with me. I'd spent 2 years of my life. I had made a decision to... I mean, when we went down to Disney and, sat across from Michael Eisner and they sort of presented this offer for the Mickey Mouse Club, and my dad negotiated this great deal there, and we got back to New York and he was like, okay, here's your 2 things. Wow. What do you want to do, son? And I was like, I want to do Broadway. And he was like, really? Do you know what I mean? But I mean, I had made the decision, a big decision, and and it didn't pan out the way I thought it was going to. So yeah, sure, I was heartbroken. I think it would be much harder now as an adult with a family. I think those things would have been more difficult. But yeah, then I went into another couple of shows and then did more commercials and voiceovers and stuff for a while, and then sort of came back a couple of years later to Broadway with Rent.
Yeah, so it's all pretty smooth.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I am not complaining about anything so far. In my career, I would be foolish to.
And you have been in a lot of musicals people really love.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, think about, like, really, like, you've been great, really fun musicals.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's cool too. I actually haven't done a lot of the traditional musicals.
Right.
I haven't even like auditioned for
the classics.
Those.
The
classics, the Les Mises, the real sort of. I mean, I've done most of the contemporary musicals.
That's true.
I'm not really sure why, but I'm not questioning it.
Right.
Either.
Right.
I'm just sort of going, great.
So you don't have any like dream roles, any classic dream role you want to do that like I would love to do that.
Classic.
Yeah.
The only I'd say classic would be I'd love to do Company probably.
Oh.
That's probably like the only show, in the classic range that I'd like to do. But the show that I've always wanted to do, got hired for a couple of times, and it never worked out because of either other jobs or whatever, is Tommy. I just can't believe I've never done Tommy. Always wanted to do Tommy.
And that's like one of your favorite shows?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
You just want to sing that music?
Yeah.
What kind of music do you listen to? You don't listen to Broadway music in your real life?
Honestly, I don't know.
No, but I don't
listen
think
to
you do.
any Broadway music. I don't know any. If I haven't done the show, and even some of those I don't really even know, the shows that I've done, because they've been so long, I really don't know anything about the music from Broadway.
So what do you like rocking out to in your car in New Jersey?
Eclectic in every other way. A lot of R&B, soul, rock, hip hop, country.
Country?
Yeah, my wife's a big country fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It happened when we were touring with Wicked. I drove the tour.
What do you mean you drove the tour?
Like instead of flying from city to city, I had my car with me, and
I thought you meant you literally had to like drive the trucks that the tour was.
Yes, they made me drive the bus. It was part of my contract. So we drove from city to city. So there was these long drives.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, across most of the country, it's hard to find anything but country. You can pretty much find country anywhere.
That is true. There's always a country station.
Yeah. And you're driving across Americana. I don't know. It just seemed appropriate.
Yeah.
So my wife really got into country.
So you were with your wife on the tour.
Yeah, she traveled with me for a lot of it.
Wow.
She has the summers off.
Wow.
She's a former performer who teaches dance now, but she gets like her summers off and stuff. So
if you guys can survive road trips like that, you can get through anything.
We're almost 20 years in. So
wow. Really?
Yeah, we're 19 years in. So
that's amazing.
I think we're good. We've survived it all at this point.
Wow. So what were you doing when you met her?
Footloose. We did Footloose together.
Oh, okay. The Footloose tour.
Yeah.
You were Chuck,
tour.
right?
I was Chuck Cranston.
The bad guy. That's what started the Dick Blake path.
Yeah, that probably was the first.
Yeah. So you guys immediately connected?
Yeah. Our first day of rehearsal, AC Ciula, the choreographer, he and I were actually in a boy band together in the 90s. That's for another show. We'll talk about that in another show. But so I knew him very well. She knew him well from like dancing in his classes and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So he paired us up for the opening number on the first rehearsal, and he paired us up, and he's like, "That's trouble," and he was right. Lo and behold, I actually knew her when I was 7. We used to be dance competition rivals. So when we went out to lunch the first day, a bunch of us went out to lunch and sort of did the "Where are you from?" And I said where I'm from originally, and she said where she's from originally because we're from the same area. Right. She was like, "Wait a minute." She's like, "You're Little Richard." A couple days later, she comes in with pictures. She had her mom send in pictures of us when we were kids. So we did a whole slideshow at our wedding of us as kids.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, and so a couple months later, she was dating a football player when we started the show, and I ended up this little song and dance man. Stole her away from, the football guy. A couple months later,
and it all worked out.
And the rest is history.
Wait, speaking of competitions, what does 3 3/4 stars mean to you?
Oh,
what does that mean to you?
3 3/4 stars
versus
to
3.5 stars.
3 3/4. No, it was 3 3/4 means I beat Sutton Foster.
Exactly, because she got 3.5.
She got 3.5
on Star Search.
On Star Search, and I got 3 3/4. So that's pretty much when I hear 3 3/4 stars, I go, that's beating Sutton. She will tell you it's because she gave me her stuffed animal, her lucky stuffed animal, because we became friends that week.
And you did what?
I apologized to her for ruining her career because I beat her on Star Search. I feel for her. I'm sorry if there's anything I can ever do for her. I will.
Well, we run out of time, but thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
You're always
Thank
one of my
you.
favorite people to run into, and
Yeah.
I'm thrilled. I love A Bronx Tale. You guys all need to go to the Longacre Theater. It opens December 1st, and this guy is a nice guy. He's a nice guy in it.
I get to play the nice guy.
He's a nice guy. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.